So thanks for joining us here for our discussion around defining a modern day luxury brand experience. And we get to talk about brands and rebrands in real time here. So this is exciting. So welcome here as we talk with Carina, the CMO of Acquia, right?
Correct.
All right. Formerly Tourneau, or in the midst of a rebrand. So again, Jake Athey, VP of Go-to-Market for Acquia's brand management business. Good to be with you here. And we're talking about the brand experience for luxury brands. And hopefully you can find something that's meaningful to you in this discussion. Like most of our sessions here today, we do welcome some audience participation, so have your questions ready. We'll take a pause in the middle to see where we're at with any of your questions. But we've got a few topics here that we'd like to explore on this topic of the luxury brand experience. So let's talk about how you go about that here. So tell us more about yourself. Tell us more about Tourneau rebranding as Acquia.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Yes.
So hi, my name is Carina. I'm the CMO of Tourneau / Acquia. We are still in a hybrid phase, but we are finally rebranding this year to then just be Acquia. And for everyone who doesn't know, so Acquia is a luxury retailer for luxury watches and fine jewelry. Our headquarters is in Switzerland, in Lucerne. We also produce our own jewelry or manufacture our own jewelry, and also have like a watch brand called Khalif Acquia. Acquia has acquired Tourneau in 2018, so this is still kind of an after, still like a post project from that acquisition, the rebrand. And as of last year, Acquia has been acquired by Rolex. So we are now part of the Rolex group portfolio. So with that being said, most of you know Tourneau. We always had a flagship on 57th Street, another big flagship in Las Vegas and the Forum Shops. And with the rebrand, it gave us a beautiful opportunity to really rethink the luxury experience, to rethink how do you want to shop for luxury items today, but also the spaces that we need to really activate our clients, to build communities, to create an environment that's like hospitality. Like, we took a lot of inspiration from hospitality brands, luxury hospitality, to really rethink how you want to enter a store, how you want to be in a store, and how we can best serve you.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for starting it off with a little bit about the connection there. And so Acquia, formerly Tourneau, acquired Tourneau, also acquired by Rolex. All right. So following along with the brand experience, what defines your luxury brand experience? Say more about some of those defining characteristics of how you want to define your position in the market.
I mean, obviously, the first very obvious point is obviously the product, right? And a little bit of scarcity around the product. But then for us, I think the real differentiation is how you create an authentic brand, and how do you also create something, because we talk so much, and we'll also talk a little bit about digital. But one of the points that I really want to stress is the analog experience. We talk so much, especially as marketeers, around digital, around like AI now, around all these hot topics. We talk about e-commerce and the digital experience online, all the software solutions, but we don't talk enough about the analog experience, like something that really helps us create the communities. Because yes, I'm selling a luxury product, but I also, like everyone else, I want to make sure that I have client retention, that I build up clients, that they come back. And I want to make sure that this is through experience, through building a community with our clients, because that's where brand really lives, right? Between that intersection of like luxury product, but also really community and brand authenticity.
Absolutely. That is where the brand experience lives, with your community. So that's really well said. Let's talk about the evolution of retail and commerce. How has this evolution influenced the traditional luxury market? And what trends do you foresee impacting the future of luxury brand experiences with the here and now?
I think, I mean, when we look back, obviously there's always been luxury, but especially right now, and we started those conversations, and we've been through cycles over the last decade. But now, especially last year, I think we started talking about in Cannes that we said like there's a little bit of a slowdown. We don't know how this year is going to be impacted. Last year we didn't know about the outcome of the elections. So we see now, if you look at the numbers of Kering or LVMH, that there's definitely a slowdown in the luxury market, especially in apparel. From this, where we play is a little bit like that hyper, that uber luxury, we don't see a slowdown at this point, but we definitely are very aware that we cannot just count on a sale, right? We need to work extra hard to make that sale. And we also want to make sure that it's an experience, that you're not just getting a watch, but that there's an actual protocol behind what is that experience like when you buy a watch or a luxury jewelry piece with us. Because we want to be aware, and that's something that we stress across all our retail teams, with all the store teams, that this is a special moment for you. This is usually not something that you come in and buy every day. So we want to celebrate that with you. And then we want you to really engage and be part of our community.
Yeah, so well said. Special moment. And we use that to create that affinity with your brand, that moment that's celebrated every time you can think about that product. So let's talk about the importance of that experience. Why is creating an exceptional experience vital for luxury brands like those in which you've been a part of? And what are the core components that Bucharest focuses on to ensure that memorable customer experience?
I think it starts on so many, like there's so many components to it, right? Okay, there's the product, then there's the content, right? I want to make sure I have unique content that I play out, obviously through digital, through my performance marketing, through out-of-home advertising, but also even like an invitation. I don't want this to just be like a piece of paper. I want this to be special. Then obviously really, really big part, which we are not always able to influence, because at the end it's also a people business, right? And I cannot stand in the store and control every interaction, but it's CRM is super important. How do we reach out to clients? At which like points of the journey do we reach out? So the building of the CRM and journey, that's also where your services come in, are very, very important. And then ultimately the in-store experience. And then also what I control a little bit from a corporate perspective, that community building, right? What kind of events, what kind of formats, how do I come back with you? How do I engage you? And am I able to not just give you a generic, oh, there's a dinner with XYZ brand, come and join us and we serve really expensive champagne, but really, where do I meet you? Like, what is the content that is the right content for you? Do you want to go to that dinner, or do you want to go on a cruise, or do you want to join us at the US Open? Like, what is that experience that's special for you, that's important for you? And where do you want to be connected? Like, are you one of these like connoisseurs, or I like them, watch nerds that really want to have a community where they talk about every single detail? Or are you more interested in like learning more about gemstones? Or is that not even something you're interested in at all, but you want to have us present you with like a content provider who talks about luxury skincare or skincare, and we create an interesting like talk or brunch or whatever around that.
Very well. Yes, absolutely.
Personalization is, I mean, it has always been a key in luxury, but I think it's still like a really important key point.
Yeah, let's talk about that topic. How do you define personalization as part of your marketing strategy, and what does it look like?
I mean, that's where digital comes in, where it helps us a lot, right? Different software solutions to really understand the journeys and what the clients are really looking for, and then create a personal journey, create personal experiences for that client.
Yes, wonderful. So you have a rich heritage rooted in traditional luxury. How have you managed that transition, and then how do you deliver that omni-channel luxury brand experience, ensuring that legacy remains intact while also engaging a more modern audience, acquiring new customers, or meeting them in new channels? How have you approached that?
It's two components, but what is kind of the baseline of everything is the training, right? It's the training, the in-store training, where we work very closely from like a brand management perspective with HR, because it's really so important that we live it first. So we live and breathe the brand. Our store teams live and breathe the brands, ideally, because that's what they all carry. So I do a lot of talks with our store teams where we talk about like, what does that brand experience look like, but also how am I living that brand? What are the key components? And you see that we have an incredible team out there in the market that really live and breathe the brands, because that's where it starts, right? I can be in corporate and talk about branding all day, but if our store teams don't feel it, it doesn't translate further. So really that part, and then the other part is more like the digital, right? That's where it comes together between like kind of the soft skills and the digital skills to make sure your teams really understand the brand and can live it and can like translate it. And then what you do on the digital side also with your insights and your knowledge.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we'll talk about your brand experience, the balance of analog and digital. What are some of the questions popped up in the audience? Want to give you all a chance to ask a few questions around the luxury brand experience. Anybody? Questions here? All right.
I'm Jen from Ad Marketplace. My question is, what do you foresee being the biggest challenge for luxury in 2025?
A few, like I think growth definitely. Just general basic like growth. Where do you go? Where do you get more clients? I think also digital for me, even so I love to talk about digital transition all day, but I feel like there's like a fatigue when it comes to digital. And then also really product, like what's exciting and the marketing strategies around it, right? So like really what's the next coolest thing, like not just the product, but what is the strategy around it? We've been talking about brand partnerships a lot the last 2 or 3 years. I see a fatigue there. So I'm really like, how do you like talk to your clients? And that's where it comes back to this brand authenticity. How can you talk to clients in an authentic way that they really are like that's really truthful to the core, and that makes sense. Does that make sense? I think it's gonna be really challenging this year and also the next year. I think that a lot of the tactics, especially from a marketing perspective, that we are used to and that we talked about and preached about, that there needs to be like there's a shift. Like we need to rethink a lot of those.
Yes.
Any other questions? If not, I've got one. I'll fire away with one. So when I think of bridging in-store and digital, very often it's about taking purchase data that you can use to drive online activity, marketing activities, retail media, email marketing. Like, so you're using what they do in store to drive elsewhere. You have a very different business than I think a lot of companies we deal with. And you have this very involved consumer that you might have lots of digital touch points. You know what types of videos they look at. You know that they went to an event. Maybe even you captured some data at that event about them and made notes. Are there ways that you can bring that digital footprint from the things that they touch into your store associate so that person has more knowledge and can really engage in an authentic, deep way very quickly? Does any of that happen today? I'm just curious. It's like the opposite in some ways of what much of us do.
I mean, that's the ideal vision, right? And to your point, for us, it's not as easy like to mirror it and to reflect it. However, we know that 80% of our clients come to the store and have had like a digital touch point before. I know, to your point, what these are. I cannot feed all the information to the store. So it usually works a little bit vice versa, where first when the client kind of hits the store, then I can go back and understand like what has like generated traction with that client, and I can inform the store.
Great, thank you. One more over here, and then we'll let you chat, and then we'll come back and do questions again.
Hi. So I feel like for luxury brands, you could use it as a tool to stand out from the crowd or as a way to connect with other people and find your people. And you talked a lot about community. So like Range Rover folks, they might nod to each other if they're in a Range Rover driving, or like wine people connect over knowledge. And I was just curious, what does your community connect over? Is it in the physical space? Is it just through wearing the product? Any insight there?
No, it's the same. And I think that's like again, this community part is so crucial. Like I've seen friendships form, and also a little bit of competition, rivalry, because it's like, oh, how did you get this piece? Like I've been waiting for this piece. But we have in our flagship on 57th Street, which I would really encourage you to come and check out and have a coffee. Like we have 3 bars. It's not because we want you to get drunk and then sell a piece to you. It's because we want to foster that community, because that's where people literally hang out and they start talking about watches. And then of course through like event concepts, through panel discussions, we foster that further, because our community is like, a lot of people are really just interested about watches. They want to hear from a brand president about why this watch is so special, where this was founded, or certain like complications. So that's where people get really, really excited.
Let's make sure we know the address. That's 57th Street, you said?
57's in Medicine on the corner.
All right, everybody check it out.
You can hardly miss it.
All right.
And if you don't get the coffee served with 2 chocolates and like the logo on top of the foam, you need to tell me, because that's a miss in my experience.
Well, good. Well, speaking of people, let's learn more about you, your leadership style. How do you approach team building? What does the community at within your organization look like? And if you can talk more about how do you foster that culture that prioritizes crafting that unparalleled brand experience and taking pride in that.
I think that's super important, and I really try to, or I hold myself accountable for like also doing what I preach. But this is the hardest part for me personally. I'm a strong advocate for authentic leadership, so I try to first of all like come in with kindness. I try to see the person and also like really ensure that they are like, that they can grow. So I hire from within, I build teams from within, unless I obviously don't have that capacity or capability within the team. I believe in accountability, but I also believe in like celebrating failure. So I really try to foster a culture where people are able to stand up, are able to like promote their ideas, come forward with ideas. I have like a team that's relatively big, but actually for what we do, quite small. And I've seen like, what I'm really proud of is that team always like comes together as a team when we try to do new things, when we try to create new concepts. So it's not just, oh, the brand marketing person is responsible for the concept creation. No, it's the whole team, because you never know where a good idea comes from. And we also celebrate those successes together, as well as we celebrate the failures and learnings.
That's great. I'm eager to learn more about any of those specific failures that you can point to over the last year. What did you try? What did you do? What did you learn?
So many.
Yeah, anything that you can share there.
Let me try. That's a really good question that I was not prepared for.
Sorry to put you on the spot. You had me hooked at it. What does a failure that you celebrated a luxury brand look like?
I think when we realize certain concepts are not working for clients, or they are not getting people exciting, or we're like just spend a lot of money on something that just didn't work out. And okay, that's a key learning. So we just like, we pivot, we shift, and we do something else. Mm-hmm. But at least we tried it. For me, it's always like the worst thing is like if we don't try. Yeah. If we're just sitting there and we're like, oh no, or we like allow these like, these little voices that we all have where it's like, oh, that's not going to work out, and maybe Switzerland will not appreciate it. So we just try to do it, and then we'll see how it works out. Yeah, there's a level of vulnerability there that you may not feel that freedom to try. But without vulnerability, you can't achieve growth. Absolutely. Business and personal. Good. All right. What other questions from the audience do we have coming forward? All right.
Thank you. Enjoying the conversation. This is very interesting. I'm just curious, with one conversion being so valuable to luxury brands, do you employ predictive modeling or AI to find these consumers that are new to the brand? We tried predicted modeling, but as a test, we haven't rolled it out. We're currently not working with AI.
Thank you. A couple questions over here.
Hi, thank you so much. I was curious about like the trends with consignment and how they're kind of on the growth, and you could look at them as a competitor, or you could look at them as part of the lifelong consumer journey for really entering into the full price future purchase of the brand. I was curious how you guys have thought about that over time and how it's impacting your business.
Consignment?
Like the real, like
Yeah,
the luxury,
okay.
allowing consumers
Yeah.
to enter in at a vintage or lower price
So this
point
is
and then bring
perfect.
it through the journey.
Love it. Yes. Just wanted to clarify. So we have a certified pre-owned program. So we sell pre-owned watches very successfully. Also just launched, well, not just, but like 2 years ago, a new program for Rolex certified pre-owned. And we also have like a trade and buy. So you can come and bring your watch to us and either like get like cash payout or you trade it in for a new piece. And we see that it works very, very successfully for us. I think what we see is, I don't mind the Real, for example, because they help us build that market and build that awareness, right? However, we need to separate a little bit as we are like the authenticated retailer, right? So we work with all the brand partners for the actual stamp of approval and authentication, which is an important part in the watch world or when you buy like a luxury watch piece.
Hi, Tina Moffat with Analytic Partners. How do you determine whether or not a brand experience is successful or not? What are the markers of success, both kind of tangibly and intangibly?
I think, first of all, like very intangible, kind of like we usually have someone from the team like join these events, so we just get like feedback from the clients, right? And you want everyone to be excited, and then they write us thank you note or a quick email or a text message to their sales associate. So that's the first pillar of success, right? We don't expect that these events immediately generate a sale, because we obviously again know that what we sell has a price point that you're not just like pulling the trigger right there. Even so, you might be surprised sometimes how interesting people shop and how also competition when you have like two people fighting over the same piece usually also drives a lot of sales at those events. And then it's like the follow-up, right? Obviously at some point I want to translate that person into a client. That again doesn't mean a sale, but like more interest coming back to the store. So we give like a certain timeline how we can like take that client and like see how that evolves in the relationship.
Any other questions? Oh, one over here. Make this the last one.
Hi, Carina. Thank you for your presentation, Mary Beth Sheridan. I find it really interesting. Thank you for describing the model of Tourneau and Boucherer and now Rolex. And I don't know, maybe there's another example of this, but I'm struggling to think of like a multi-brand format retailer that is owned by a top 5 single mono brand, especially in the luxury format, with the complexity of resale, and pre-owned involved and all the other brands that you deal with. So I'm wondering how the power of Rolex now is fueling some of either the customer data that you're getting or the marketing funding, or you're shaking your head. So is it totally separate?
It's really
very
separate.
Interesting.
Thank you for the question. It's obviously there, like I can't comment on it, but it's really separate. It's really separate. So like to that day, we are still like a retail partner that is being held by the same standards as other retail partners.
Well, thank you very much. How about a round of applause? This was a fascinating topic, kind of diving into a world that some of us may not ever delve into, but maybe some of us will. Thank you.
Thank you.